Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to be zeroing in on some really fascinating bits of everyday English.
Yeah, things like slang, phrasal verbs, idioms,
Yeah.
the stuff that adds the real color.
Exactly, words that pop up all the time, and they often give you a peek into how English speakers actually, think and communicate.
hmm So our mission today is to go a bit beyond just the basic definition.
Right, explore the nuance, the cultural backstory maybe.
Precisely. We've picked out a few common ones that carry, well, a lot more weight than you might think at first glance.
Okay, so digging deeper to see what they really tell us.
Yeah, not just the meaning, but the subtle cultural stuff packed inside.
Sounds good. So what are we looking at specifically?
We've got the British slang term naff, the internet favorite epic fail, that super useful phrasal verb get by, and the very modern acronym FOMO.
Okay, a good mix there. I
Uh,
bet most people listening have probably come across at least a couple of those.
oh, definitely. And hopefully this deep dive will give everyone a richer sense of what they mean and, I guess, how they actually work in conversation.
Great. So where should we start? Maybe with naff.
Let's do it. Naff is just a brilliant example of a word really rooted in a specific culture, British English in this case.
Right, very British. It conveys quite a bit about taste, doesn't it? And maybe social norms.
It really does. So, okay, naff. If someone uses that word, what are they really getting at?
My sense is it's negative, but maybe not, super harsh.
You're right. At its core, it's British slang for something that's, well, unfashionable or tacky, not lacking in taste, basically.
So uncool, not stylish.
Exactly. Often said with a slightly dismissive tone, like you said, but yeah, not usually meant to be deeply offensive.
Okay, give me an example. Maybe some really dated patterned wallpaper. Would that be naff?
Oh, absolutely. Perfect example. Or say a piece of clothing that's just trying way too hard and looks a bit cheap. Someone might say, oh, that's a bit naff.
Right, so it can apply to clothes, music, decor.
Yeah, even an event or maybe an idea if it feels kind of out of touch or unsophisticated.
It's got such a specific sound, naff. It feels like it must have an interesting origin story. Do we know where it came from?
That's a great question. And honestly, the origin is a little murky. There isn't one single confirmed source.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Always the way with slang sometimes.
Yeah, but the most compelling theory, it links it back to the 1960s and maybe, just maybe, to something called Polari.
Polari. Never heard of it. That sounds intriguing. What was that?
It was fascinating. Polari was this kind of slang or argot, almost like a secret language, you could say.
The secret language. Used by who?
Well, it was used within certain communities in Britain, think actors, circus, and fairground people, and notably the gay community, especially before decriminalization.
Wow. So it was a way to communicate discreetly.
Exactly. And the theory is that naff might have started there and then somehow seeped into, more general use.
That's actually amazing. Such a cool potential history. So for listeners, the main thing with naff is it's negative about style. It's not a compliment.
Definitely not. Think the opposite of chic or stylish.
Got it. And some similar words might be, tacky, lame.
Yeah, tacky, lame, cheap-looking, unfashionable. Those all capture a similar kind of feeling.
So why should our listeners care about understanding naff? I mean, if they're not in the UK, maybe?
Well, even if you're not, you encounter British culture, right? TV shows, movies, books.
Sure, yeah.
And understanding naff helps you pick up on those subtle social judgments,
Huh.
about trends, what's considered in or out. It adds flavor.
It helps you get the vibe, the British sensibility.
Exactly that. Okay, so from potentially uncool, let's jump to something that's, well, spectacularly uncool when it happens. Epic fail.
Ah, yes.
Ah,
Epic fail. That feels very internet, doesn't it?
you're totally right. I mean, people have always failed spectacularly, obviously, but the term epic fail, that really blew up with internet culture.
So what makes a fail epic? What's the difference between just failing and an epic fail?
It's about the scale, I think. And often there's a big slice of humor or irony involved.
Right. It's not just a little mistake.
No, it's like a complete, total, often very public breakdown, usually involves an embarrassing or really obvious mistake. There's a sort of grandeur to the failure itself.
Grandeur in failure. Okay, paint a picture for us. An example.
Okay. Uh, Imagine someone trying like a really complex skateboard trick in front of everyone.
Uh-oh. I can see where this is going.
And they don't just wobble, they like completely wipe out. Skateboard goes flying, they end up in a tangled heap. maybe land in a puddle.
Right. It's memorable. It's not just a slip. It's a performance piece of failure.
Exactly. That's your classic epic fail. And you mentioned the internet. How did that fuel it?
It just seems tailor-made for sharing online.
Totally. Memes, viral videos, forums,
Yeah.
places where people share mishaps. It created the perfect, like, breeding ground for the term.
Yeah, think of all the YouTube compilations.
Right. Tagged epic fail. It's become this shared way of laughing at mistakes, sometimes even our own. It sort of normalizes messing up, you know?
A bit of shared humanity in our blunders.
Yeah.
So, memory tip. Combine epic, grand, extraordinary with fail not succeeding.
Perfect. Failure on a grand scale, often funny.
And synonyms.
Yeah.
Maybe disaster,
Yeah,
blunder, fiasco.
those work. Yeah, fiasco has that slightly dramatic, everything went wrong feeling, too.
So, why is understanding epic fail useful? It seems kind of lighthearted.
It is often lighthearted, yeah. But understanding it gives you a window into how English speakers sometimes process mistakes.
How so?
There's often that ability to laugh at yourself or the situation, a certain humility, maybe. It reflects a cultural thing of not always taking failure too seriously.
Finding the humor in it.
Yeah, and maybe bonding over those moments when things just go spectacularly pear-shaped.
Okay, that makes sense. Right, we've done slang. Let's switch to a phrasal verb. Get by. It sounds really practical.
Oh, it is. Super practical. Phrasal verbs can be tricky, but get by is one you hear constantly in everyday chat.
So simply put, what's it mean? To get by.
Basically, it means to manage, to survive or just deal with a situation, especially when you don't have a lot of something, money, skills, resources, whatever.
So doing just enough to cope, often with a bit of difficulty.
Exactly. It implies you're not exactly thriving, but you're making do. You're managing.
Can you give us a situation where someone would use it?
Sure. Maybe someone learning a new language, they might say, I'm not fluent, but I know enough Spanish to get by when I visit.
Right, meaning they can handle basic stuff like ordering food or asking directions, but maybe not have a deep conversation.
Perfect. Or financially, someone might say, money's tight since I lost my job, but, we're getting by. It means they're managing, paying bills, but maybe cutting back.
It really captures that feeling of just scraping through, doesn't it? Managing, but maybe not easily.
Yeah, it does.
Phrasal verbs can be hard to remember. Any tips for get by?
Breaking it down sometimes helps. Get often means like achieve or obtain.
Okay.
And by can mean passing something or moving alongside, like getting past an obstacle.
Ah, so get by is like achieving enough to move past the immediate difficulty.
That's a really good way to think about it, yeah. Navigating the challenge.
Cool. And are there other ways to say this? Synonyms.
Well, you could use manage, survive, cope. Those are similar.
Any subtle differences?
Maybe. Survive can sound a bit more dramatic, like it's really precarious. Cope suggests more of an active, maybe mental effort.
And there's another phrasal verb, muddle through.
Oh, yeah. Muddle through is great. It's similar to get by, but often implies doing it in a slightly disorganized or confused way, but still succeeding in the end.
Gotcha. So for the listener, get by is about that universal thing, right? Facing challenges and just managing. Resilience.
Exactly. Making do with what you have. It's very relatable.
All right, last one for today. Let's hit the acronyms. FOMO. F-O-M-O. This feels very 21st century.
Oh, absolutely. FOMO. Fear of missing out. It's become such a huge part of modern language, hasn't it?
Definitely. And so tied up with social media and being constantly connected.
That's the key driver, I think.
So for anyone maybe not familiar, what is FOMO? What's that core feeling?
It's basically that anxiety, that unease you get when you think other people are having better experiences than you are right now.
Like more rewarding, more exciting.
Yeah. And you're not there. You're excluded from something good, something valuable. That fear of missing the party, literally or figuratively.
And the social media link.
Yeah.
How does that work? How does seeing stuff on Instagram fuel FOMO?
Well, social media is often like a highlights reel, isn't it?
Totally. Everyone's best moments, carefully chosen.
Exactly. You see the amazing holidays, the perfect parties, the big achievements, all curated. And comparing that constant stream of best bits to your own, maybe quite normal reality.
Can make you feel like you're seriously missing out.
Yeah. It triggers that FOMO. That contrast is powerful.
I think everyone's felt that pang, right? Seeing photos from a cool event you weren't at.
Oh, for sure. That's a textbook FOMO trigger. And while, wanting connection, wanting shared experiences, that's always been human.
Right, that's not new.
But the digital age, social media, it's definitely amplified FOMO, made it much more constant, more in your face. we know what everyone else is doing all the time.
Makes it harder to just be content where you are.
It can, yeah.
So remembering FOMO, the acronym itself is pretty helpful, right? Fear of missing out.
It is. Just break it down. Fear of missing out.
Eh?
And then try to connect it to that actual feeling, that anxiety about exclusion, about others having more fun.
Recognize it when you feel it.
Exactly. That really cements the meaning.
Are there other words like FOMO, synonyms?
Well, you could say envy, maybe, or just anxiety about missing things.
But FOMO feels more specific.
Yeah, I think so. It's particularly about social experiences, often happening right now, that feeling of being left out of the collective fun or opportunity. Less about long-term ambition, more about the immediate social scene.
Got it. So for our listeners, understanding FOMO helps make sense of a really common feeling in our super connected world.
Yeah, it helps understand some of those pressures and anxieties tied to modern social life and, well, the internet.
Wow. Okay, that was a fantastic deep dive. We covered quite a bit.
We did naff for that British taste judgment.
Epic fail for laughing at big mistakes.
Get by for that resilience in managing.
And FOMO reflecting our modern digital anxieties.
And hopefully we've shown that knowing these terms is more than just vocabulary. It's about culture, emotion, social cues.
Absolutely. It's about getting the deeper layer of communication.
Mm-hmm.
So for everyone listening, we really hope you'll, play with these expressions. Try to link them to your own life.
Yeah, visualize when you might hear them, or even use them. Practice is key. Don't be shy.
The more you use them, the more they become just part of your English toolkit.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought to leave people with. Consider how language changes.
Right. Like naff from its specific roots, FOMO from our tech.
Exactly. Language isn't static. It reflects us. It reflects culture, technology. It's always evolving.
So the question is, what's next? What new words or phrases do you think might pop up in the coming years based on where society is heading?
That's the fascinating thing to ponder, isn't it? What linguistic inventions are just around the corner?